Hi YouTube, please give me a moment while I connect to Facebook. We'll be getting started shortly. Connecting to Facebook. We should be live now on Facebook. Hi everybody, welcome to the Strategic Swing Trader weekly broadcast. I am Sami, Director of Education at T3 Live. Hope you've had a great weekend and are getting ready for the week ahead. So we are going to talk about the market. We'll talk about Bitcoin also, which is setting up. But before we start, as always, a standard required disclaimer to let you know that trading is risky and that whatever we discuss in this video is for educational purposes only. If you are new to our channel, please be sure to download my free ebook. Link for that is in the description. If you have any questions, leave a comment or reach out to us by emailing customer service info@t3live.com. And if you find benefit in today's video, please be sure to hit the like button. That means a lot. All right, so here we go. The market broke down badly on Friday. It almost came out of nowhere. It didn't really come out of nowhere. We had a breakout failure the day before, and then on Friday it completed that pattern, which many of you know as a head and shoulders pattern, right? The head, the right shoulder, the left shoulder, something like this. I don't really like to call it a head and shoulders pattern. I just say a breakout failure pattern. So the burden of proof is definitely now going to be on the bulls. The bulls would have to negate this bar for us to go higher. Now, how bearish of a bar was this? Well, pretty bearish, but I mean, how much lower are we going? I don't think we're gonna drop that much at all, honestly. Maybe to 590 on the Qs. I'd be surprised if we got all the way down to here. I'd be pretty surprised because the weekly trend is pretty tight. That's a really tight uptrend on the weekly chart of the Qs. The same with the SPY. Let's go over here. That's a pretty tight uptrend. So again, might we break or get all the way down to here to the prior low from January? Maybe. For now, the next step will be to get down to about 590 on the SPY. On the Qs, it would be probably 511, but we still have also support at 521. You know, so I don't know how much lower we're going to go, but like I said, for sure, the burden of proof now is on the bulls, not the bears. Okay, we need to negate this bar before we're turning bullish, or we need to sell off really hard and get short-term oversold or short-term extended for me to get bullish again. Normally usually the day after wide range bar is usually a narrow range bar, like one of these little bars. So the expectation for tomorrow is that if we gap down and sell off, is that we get bought, or if we gap up and rally, we end up getting sold, in the second half of the day or so. But when all said and done, we might end up with a bar like this. This is called a narrow body bar, where the range of the candle is not narrow. I'm talking about this bar, but the body of the candle is narrow. So we either end up with a narrow body or a narrow range bar. Narrow body bar or a narrow range bar. That's usually what we get most of the time after a wide range red bar. But like I said, one last time, I think we are lower in the short term, but higher in the long term still. Okay. In terms of the watch list, there is nothing that looks all that amazing, especially to long. The China stocks have definitely been the place to be. So the yen, I showed the room on Thursday. I have 1,000 shares of BABA, and I hedged by shorting 500 in a different account. That hedge lost $7,600 on BABA because I'm in it long, 1,000 shares. But at the same time, it's we might be in for a pullback. I mean, vertical VNET got to target on Thursday. $15 was my target, and it made about 13 Rs, 13 times the risk, but that's pretty climactic. So I'm looking at the best China stocks that I'm in, and I feel like they are gonna drop. So even the best sector, the China sector, is might be due for a pullback. Having said that, I still like the JD. If there was anything from the China stocks that I still like, it would be probably the JD. I also like the BZ. I like the BZUN. I like the YMM, I guess, but it put in a kind of a roundish top on the hourly chart. So that's not something I'm in already, but that's not something I would recommend right now because it looks like it's gonna come in. But for right now, the one that I like the most is JD. Beautiful monthly chart. And then maybe I'm wrong about the China stocks. Maybe they won't pull in, right? In which case, JD I think would be poised to start playing catch up, would be poised to go up. Notice on the hourly chart, we have a beautiful hourly buy setup. I have 1,000 shares in JD just as a disclaimer, but the truth of the matter is it hasn't gone anywhere in so long. So it's up a little bit. It's not up that much. The other China stocks that I have are mostly a target, mostly. All right. So the JD is a favorite China name to watch. Moderna, has it bottomed? I sure thought it had bottomed here, and then it came back in, and now we have a setup which is called a sell setup failure. So a sell setup failure is when you have a downtrend, a counter rally, and then an attempt to go lower that fails. So here it is. If you like it, long over $37. Stop under 32.90, I guess, as a sell setup failure. If you think the Moderna might be bottoming, might have bottomed, there is a bit of divergence on the monthly chart between the moving average and price for sure, right? And then the weekly has that kind of breakdown failure pattern to it, the double bottom, breakdown to new lows, and it's getting bought. So I like it over 37, stop under 33, or to be exact, it would be 32.90. And I am, just FYI, I am planning on doing it. I am planning on playing it. STLA, I had a call on it on Friday. It did not trigger. I don't think it's gonna trigger, but if it takes out the highs over 14.26, I like it. This is a weekly chart, is a weekly 1, 2, 3, weekly transition A. Here's the daily chart. It's a base breakout, so over the base, stop just under this little shelf, or this base. So the stop would be under 13.84. So entry over 14.26, stop under 13.84. Doesn't look amazing. It's an ADR also, a foreign company basically. And the shorts is where the action is, I think, for the week. And we'll talk about Bitcoin in a little bit here. So ACGL, if you look at the daily, that's a base breakdown. If you look at the hourly, that's a nice base breakdown. If you look at the weekly, it's a 1, 2, 3. So I like it lower under 87.40 with a stop over 89.40. Okay, and then target, go on vacation because it could really drop. So that's the ACGL. I like it a lot. I mean, look at Ford. This Ford looks horrible. Looks really, really bearish. So here it is. That's the monthly chart. Is it following through? It's not. It's not dropping very much, but it looks slower, all the way down to $5. So it's just a matter of figuring out a way in it. But I do like it lower. Okay? Maybe under the space here, under 920 by 951. Maybe wait a little bit until the 20 MA catches up. The stock base is a bit more, and then short. So I'm not quite sure if that's the right entry just yet. HBI, short under 612, stop over 637. It's like a minor daily sell setup. VNET, climactic sell setup. Okay, so short under the SPARS low, stop over 1613. Okay, XRX looks really weak under the. So if you look at the XRX, let me open up the chart so you can see it better. This is the daily chart. I mean, that's a big roundish top, right? And then a base at the bottom, so base breakdown. I like it short under 770, stop over 826. Or if you want to give it more room, it'd be 860. But the XRX, that's Xerox, looks really, really bearish. I can't wait to short it on earnings. I don't know what it's going to look like on earnings. I think it's not this week, but then following week. The SDA is super thin. That's the only issue with it. Otherwise, love it. Under 480, 475, stop over 540. or you can also do it under 480. One can do it under 480. SOUN, the $8 or the 200 MA is kind of the next target on it, for sure, written all over it. So that's about $8, and I like it as an hourly base break. And I just wish it had a tighter base, which would give us a tighter stop. That's the only issue, but looks lovely. Snapchat, just like Ford, looks like a disaster is about to happen on Snapchat. Now, let me take a look and see if Snapchat is reported or not, because this thing looks, I mean, looks really, really bearish. So I'm just starting up TC2000. Let me get it out of your way. And then I just want to see if Snapchat is reported or not. Because if it hasn't, oh yeah, it looks like it doesn't report until April. So yeah, it's reported already. Anyways, this looks lower. It's a big rounded top, but I don't have an entry yet for it. So it's just to watch. And then Under Armour is also pretty bearish, but there's support below. So it doesn't have as much room. That's 665. Okay. That's Under Armour. Otherwise, that's a pretty base on the daily chart to play short. In terms of Bitcoin, Bitcoin has been very, very resilient. I mean, that's Bitcoin. The market, to tell you the truth, other than the IWM, we've been at all-time high. We haven't been moving up very much, but I mean, we just came off all-time high right here, right? So the Qs and the SPY have been bullish. It's just the IWM that's been bearish. IWM is basically put in a breakout failure on the monthly. It broke out and then got sold. But there's the 20 on the monthly, so I don't think it's gonna drop that much. At the absolute most, I would say the 20, and then from there it eventually goes back up. But I'm not gonna talk about the IWM more than that, because it's just a wild beast. Okay, back to Bitcoin. We have a weekly buy setup. So I like it a lot if it can go back up and take out 99,500. So 99,517, but let's just call it 99,600. If it can take it out, then it would trigger a weekly buy setup. On the daily chart, it does not look ready at all. So this is the daily chart. So it needs to take out the base here, or this bar's high, the red bar's high. Otherwise, it's probably going to be lower. Does that make sense? So Bitcoin at the moment is on the daily chart is in a do or die stage. Now, if we look at Ethereum, it looks actually better on the daily, but Ethereum is probably going to follow Bitcoin. So, so I don't know that it's going to be able to go back up unless Bitcoin goes back up as well. And also the weekly and the monthly are damaged a little bit on Ethereum. So this is tough. Ethereum is tough. Solana is the easiest to read, and it's lower, lower, lower. Solana is just bearish, turned really bearish. It's funny how this is what's not cool about the crypto market. This thing broke out to 300. I had, I think, 240 shares in it. It got to like $300, 295, and then it started to fail, and now it completely failed, and looks lower all the way down to maybe 120 or so on Solana. So that's the easiest to read. It's just lower. Okay. The most interesting is XRP. XRP had an unbelievably bullish breakout a few months ago, and it's been, hasn't been participating with Bitcoin for years. The last few years, it's just gone sideways. So this breakout will probably eventually produce more follow through. Broke out, and it's just basing up at the highs. I mean, that's the weekly chart of Ethereum, of XRP. So XRP is something to keep an eye on. XRP and Bitcoin for the most part. Solana, if it gets down to 120 or so, and then Ethereum is just sloppy. Otherwise, it's come in a good amount, so that would be also interesting. That's the monthly chart of Ethereum. It's a little bit messed up. I don't know why. Let me just look at a different chart and come back to it. So yeah, Ethereum chart is messed up a little bit. But anyways, so Bitcoin has a weekly buy setup, and XRP is staying very, very bullish. Those are the two things that are most interesting in the cryptocurrency market. But we shall see. I'm not going to push it when the setups are still not quite there yet. All right, with that said, I'll close us out for the day for this week's edition of the Strategic Swing Trader. I hope you enjoyed today's video, and if you have, please be sure to hit the like button and check out what I do in the description. Okay, links in the description. Thank you so much, and best of luck with your trading this week. Take care, everybody.